person who's shared this entire journey with all of us from the NASCAR side of things is NASCAR's Vice Chairman, Mike Helton.
Thank you, Mike. Hey, Stevie. So yesterday, when the word went out, Steve Phelps, on behalf of NASCAR, made the official statement. Couldn't agree with him more. The impact that Darrell Waltrip has had on our industry, on our sport, will be felt for generations to come. I'm thankful to be part of today on a personal note. As a lot of you know, I grew up here in Bristol. Tried to race, but that didn't work out too good, so I was lucky to figure out how to stay in the business one way or another, though. You don't grow up in Bristol and not know about NASCAR. And when you hang out at the local tracks, whether it's in Southwest Virginia, East Tennessee, North Carolina, wherever, there's a lot of talk back then about who was up and coming. And this was in the early 70s, and there was this guy from Kentucky who showed up in Nashville, and Nashville was a pretty famous stop in the Southeast for a lot of series, but particularly for stock car racing, particularly for NASCAR. And the guy, Darrell Waltrip, his name starts showing up. Well, I'm pretty much confined to Bristol. And I remember Darrell's first race up here. It was, okay, let's see what he's got. Did okay. Come back, did better. And then just went on a tear. And I cast it that way first to be sure that I laid the groundwork, because the impact it had on me wasn't from how good Bristol did or how good Darrell did or how good the sport did. I was a NASCAR fan. And I was following the routine guys back then, whether, Cale Yarborough and Pearson and Richard Petty and Bobby Allison and Buddy Baker and all of those. So for somebody to show up, and there's a lot of stories, and there will be a lot of stories, and everybody knows the history of Darrell Waltrip. He doesn't just show up quietly. He kind of comes in with a bang, so to speak, and that bang continued for his entire career, including 10 years from now. But from a NASCAR fan's perspective, Darrell made me more of a NASCAR fan than I thought I'd ever would be. And he also, obviously pulled a lot of people into the NASCAR following just because of his style and his personality and his ability, but mainly because of his driving ability and style on the racetrack. And so, Darrell, from that perspective, I want to thank you as an old fan that watched your career start and end on the racetrack and have been with you through it all and still love you. And I know we've had some interesting conversations with your uniform on, with your car owner's license in your hand, and with your broadcast permit.
With my hard card in my hand.
and your go-kart keys and everything. But it's been a remarkable impact on a lot of people personally, but on our industry in general. And I'm just really, I count my blessings as I get older about those that I've been able to share my career with. But you're right, I burned on the top, buddy, and maybe it's because it's that Tennessee thing or Virginia-Tennessee connection, but you're a remarkable person. Stevie, bless your heart. I don't know what you're going to do with him. So call every now and then and say, "He'll come take him to lunch," or something like that. But I love you. Thank you for everything you've done, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Mike. Now that I've had a chance to look around the room, Pam Miller has been here since the start as our pit producer and our Xfinity producer. And the Fox PR people are here if you need any help. Eric Arneson, Megan Engelhardt, there's Eric in the blue shirt. Megan is taking care of Eric. We're good. If you need anything afterward. And our booth mate Jeff Gordon's here, and we'll all be available for one-on-ones afterward. But, well, my friend, especially at Bristol, you are no stranger to controversy. Sometimes I think you embrace it, like when Cale Yarborough nicknamed him Jaws. Darrell took that and ran with it all the way to 3 championships and 84 wins, including 12 here and 7 in a row, and then hopped into the broadcast booth, and it's been a wonderful ride ever since. But I know this day and this season, these thoughts just didn't come about recently. Can you kind of take us through the process?
Thank you. Oh, you want,
I have a mic.
oh.
Not that you need one.
No, I like my mic. No, a lot of people have, not a lot of people, some people have thought that this was a spur of the moment decision, something that I decided to do over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that is so far from the truth. Look, these are my teammates. We have been together for 19 years, a lot of us have. And Mike Joy interviewed me when I won the Daytona 500 in 1989. And I was grabbing Mike, and I don't know how he survived. I said, this is Daytona, and it was. So, but my bosses have been so kind to me. It's touching to me to think that I work for people that care more about me than they do about anything else. 2 years ago, I told my boss, I said, I think I want to retire in 2017. 17, I thought it was a perfect time, perfect number, and that would work out well for me. But then 2017 came along, I said, bad decision. I might want to rethink that. And then Jeff came along. Jeff Gordon, who's been a great addition to our booth, and Jeff came along, and what if I bail out now and leave Mike Joy with Jeff Gordon and some other guy that's never done TV before? And I didn't feel like that was the right thing to do, so I stayed on a little bit longer. And look, anybody that's done what I've done, whether it's a driving career or a TV career, can always look back and say, maybe I should have done something different. Maybe I should have thought about this, or maybe I should have thought about that. But folks, this is my home. For 60 years of my 72, I've been behind the wheel of it. I was holding on to something. I was holding on to a steering wheel for 30 years. And I let go of that wheel, and I grabbed a hold of a microphone. And I held onto a microphone for another 19 years. So I've always been holding on to something. And you know who paid the biggest price for me being selfish and my ego and worrying about me? This young lady right here. Stevie has been by my side for 50 years. We got married in 1969, and we've been we went to the race on our honeymoon. But it was I had a plan. I thought I was going to win it. It was a race in Salem, Indiana, and I said, I'll win that race. It pays $1,000. My part's $250, and we're going to spend the weekend in French Lick, Indiana. Iggy Katona had a different idea, and it didn't quite work out that way. But through it all, I can't, look, I'm not going to start in 1972. That's the first time I drove a car in Cup. I walked into the garage in 1972 at Talladega, Alabama. I didn't know diddly squat. I just knew it was a big damn racetrack, one of the biggest I'd ever seen. I had a Mercury that Jake Elder had helped Dick Hutchinson Pagan, and Jake Elder had put together for me to drive at Talladega. And I said, man, I'm somebody. I've made it to the big time. I always love what Bubba Watson said. It stuck with me. Did I ever dream about winning 84 races, 3 championships? Did I ever dream about winning the Daytona 5? Did I ever dream about meeting Junior Johnson? Did I ever dream about driving for Junior Johnson? Hell no. But those were things that had come true, and they've happened. So I always tell people, dream big. Because it might come true, so dream big. And that's what I did. So I walked in the garage in 1972, and I've been there ever since. I've been to every track, been to every race, but I took to this race. People say, why did you pick today? Why did you pick Bristol? Someone must have twisted your arm. Someone must have said this is when you got to do it. That's not true. If you walk outside the grandstand over here in turn 4, there's a grandstand. I think it's 43,000 people. I think it's the biggest grandstand, and they haven't reduced it yet, I don't think. So it's one of the biggest grandstands in the sport. Outside that grandstand is a picture of me on the wall. I won 12 races here. This was my sanctuary. I couldn't wait to get here. A lot of guys, I would hear guys complain about this place. I think it was Kyle Petty said they need to plug it up and fill it up with water and call it a fishing hole. And so, but I never felt that way. I love the high banks. I love the speeds of the short track. So this was home to me. That's in Tennessee. Follow me in Tennessee. That was how I felt when I came here. So this is a perfect place for me to tell you that not the rest of this year. I'm going to be, look, it's hard for me to get too upset or too emotional because I got a race to do Sunday. We're going to do 500 laps here on Sunday. And so am I going to worry about what I'm going to do next year? You know when I'll worry about that? When next year gets here. Next February, when all you are in Daytona, headed down for the Daytona 500, and I'm not with you, that's when it'll hit me. But between now and then, we've got races to do. We know our last race in June at Sonoma. And maybe when I walk out the booth at Sonoma, and I look at all these wonderful people that have been there the whole time, and I think about not seeing them anymore, that's when it'll hit me. And that's when it'll hurt. It's like when I had a race team. It wasn't the cars, and it wasn't the sponsors, it was the people. It was the people that made the difference. My team, I missed the camaraderie. I missed team meetings. I missed going to dinner with my buddies and having a beer with my buddies and talking about racing. And that's what this group has been to me. This is my team. Barry Landis in my ear screaming at me about something, or Artie jumping in every now and then with some direction, or Pam, or whomever it may be, and the camera guys up there on the roof trying to get the pictures that I'm talking about that nobody at home sees yet. So I've made a lot. Look, I'm not a journalist. I didn't go to journalism school. I'm not a journalist. I'm a race car driver. I love racing. I love the sport. I love NASCAR. They say you get what you give. Well, I gave a lot, but I got a whole lot more in return. I devoted my time, my energy, my effort, my passion to this sport. And this sport has rewarded me time and time and time again. Not just with trophies and the success I've had on the track, but with friends, people that I'll never forget. People that if I'm in trouble, I got every one of them's number, and I could call any one of those people over there and over here and say, I need help, and they'll say, I'll be there. Hang on, I'll be right there. Those are friendships you can't replace. And Mike Helton, I love Mike Helton. I don't know what he's a pretty big wheel in NASCAR, but I never looked at him that way. Mike Helton's always been my friend, my buddy, and he's chewed my butt out many a time, and I needed it. You know that old saying, you don't know what to say, but you keep on talking? I was pretty guilty of that. So a lot of times, I got called on the carpet, and I needed it, whether it was Bill Jr. or Mike or whomever it was. But it made me a better person. And when I stand up there on Sunday and do this race, I am in one of those cars. I don't know which one I'll be in yet. Most people think I'd be in Kyle Busch's car, which I love Kyle Busch. I think it's fun to watch. And am I biased? You darn right I am. Everybody in this room is. One way or another, when you write a story, when you tell somebody something, you always have to put your own kind of spin on it, your own personal opinion. And then we're all guilty of that. I don't care if you say, no, well, I went to journalism school, I sit on my hands, I don't clap. Well, that's bull crap. Because we all do. That's what I've done, and that's what I know. I'm a race fan. I love when the guys put on a show. When they get out on the track and somebody's putting on a show, I'm going to talk about them. I always tell everybody in the garage, this is pretty simple. If you'll do this much, we'll do the rest. But you got to do this much. We can't. Well, we're guilty sometimes of making up stuff, but we embellish. We just kind of embellish. It's not like radio where there's bumper to bumper, side to side, door handle to door handle. I don't know if they are or not because I'm not listening on the radio. But when it's on TV, it is what it is.
And I love live TV, and these guys will tell you, I don't like to rehearse. I hate rehearsal. I just let it go. I learned that from Ralph Emery doing the Nashville Now show. That was a live TV show. You went on stage, they turned the cameras on, and if you made a fool of yourself, guess what? You made a fool of yourself. If you said something you shouldn't, guess what? You had the shoestrings hanging out the corner of your mouth. So I've learned a lot from everybody I've worked for, everybody I worked with. And there's life lessons. This sport, it's taught me so much, and they're all life lessons. But we just had our first grandchild, Louisa. She's beautiful, she's 14 months old.